Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So, about five NFL teams choose not to honor Kirk with a moment of silence, and the Detroit Lions, the Police Court, and Cincinnati, Baltimore, Minnesota. They did a great job because there is no need honoring someone who would not even honor you, because before anything he will ask if you are qualified to be honored, because anything that got to do with people that look like me, there is need to investigate it to make sure that they are qualified. So they are actually not qualified to even honor you too. I love it. And please, can we normalize saying the truth? Because I am seeing too much lies from people that shouldn't be lying, old men and women lying. Can we normalize telling people that they fucked up, that they messed up, even when they are not alive? Can we be truthful? Because it doesn't make any sense coming to write that, you are no more and all that. You are such a sweet. He was not a sweet soul. Can you guys be truthful that he wasn't sweet? He was bitter. So why all the lies? I love the fact that they did not honor him. Because last time I checked, politics got nothing to do with sports. Let's get into this video.
White privilege in the United States of America is having selective outrage. There are many conservative fans of the NFL right now who are furious because there are 5 NFL teams who did not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk after he lost his life. It's almost as if they forgot when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, Donald Trump blasted the NFL saying, "Get that SOB out of here." Colin Kaepernick lost his job and was blackballed and ostracized by NFL owners for exercising his right to protest, exercising his freedom of speech, and literally for taking a knee during the national anthem to protest police brutality against Black lives in this country. There have been at least 15 professionals who have lost their job for making comments about Charlie Kirk after his death. Pilots, teachers, professors. In fact, a Wisconsin high school teacher was placed on administrative leave after calling Kirk a racist, xenophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic, sexist, white nationalist who made millions of dollars off inciting hatred in this country. So people are out here losing their jobs for truth-telling. Charlie Kirk said Black women like Michelle Obama and Joy Ann Reid do not have the brain processing power to compete with white people. That is racism, objectively, not subjective. Charlie Kirk said that when he sees a Black pilot, he automatically questions their qualifications. That is racism, objective racism, not subjective. When Taylor Swift got engaged to Travis Kelce, Charlie Kirk told Taylor Swift she needs to submit to Travis Kelce. That is sexism. Women do not have to submit to anyone. When members of the LGBTQIA+ community were protesting the genocide in Gaza, Charlie Kirk laughed and belittled these people, saying that they'd be thrown off buildings. But there's no buildings left in Gaza, and he laughed about that with his smug, arrogant remarks, as if this was funny. Then Charlie Kirk proceeded to call Muslims stupid. That's Islamophobia. That is objectively Islamophobia, not subjective. We can condemn political violence. We can call out the gun deaths and the way Charlie Kirk died. We can call it for what it is. It was disgusting, despicable, deplorable act, while simultaneously not whitewashing and sanitizing the life of Charlie Kirk. Calling out hate speech and bigotry is not hate speech itself. It is truth-telling. Let's not conflate the two. And also, don't act surprised when NFL teams do not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, who was unapologetically racist, when the vast majority of NFL players are Black. Anywhere from 53% to, as some reports have, as high as 70% of the NFL is Black. It's almost as if you want American citizens and certain businesses and business owners to have these freedoms and these rights until these freedoms and rights go against your narrative. But then it no longer becomes freedom, it's privilege. And that's what we see on display in this country. White privilege on full display for all the world to see.
5 NFL teams chose to not honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence. Shout out to the Lions, the Colts, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Vikings. And I find this very hypocritical in 4K because the same individuals in the same place that said that football has no place for politics has a place to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. What did he say about black people specifically in the NFL and NBA? Didn't he try to sensationalize how the black participation in the NFL was high? But he did not want to talk about the high white ownership of the game. Now, the same individuals that's rooting Charlie Kirk on wanted Colin Kaepernick to be thrown out of the game because he brought politics into the game, as well as disrespected the military, the American military. At the same time, they clicked up what the same Confederate flag told us. They fought against the military while trying to say that the football has a place for a moment of silence for this man right here. At the same time, saying when a black person talk about their political reality and how they're positioned within American politics, uncalled for. Go to timeout. You're canceled. When it come to him, your ass deserve to be fired. You say anything I disagree with. Even if you are quoting what he said in his life and trying to say it against now that he's dead, you're going to be fired and canceled. Conservative contradictions. 5 NFL teams chose to not honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence.
Yeah, Cincinnati doesn't play. My city does not play around when it comes into racism, okay? Remember when they wrote that racist shit on the bridge down the street from my house? And then the KKK was stomped out of the city? Yeah. We don't play around here. We don't play around here. We don't stand for racism. No, ma'am.
The collective national gaslighting that is going on right now about what Charlie Kirk stood for needs to stop. You can recognize that something fucked up happened to somebody and also not whitewash who that person was. It's okay to include context, especially if that context is literally just what they proudly and openly preached about their entire career. A political pundit on MSNBC said that, Charlie Kirk preached hateful rhetoric, and hateful rhetoric turns into hateful actions, and he was fired for literally stating a fact about what Charlie preached, which, by the way, the irony of the right weaponizing anybody who dares to say they didn't like Charlie Kirk or didn't agree with him and fire those people or dox them or come after them in any type of way in the same breath that they're lauding Charlie Kirk as some bastion of free expression is not lost on me. But to sanitize what he actually preached about, what his actual opinions were, not just he preached open debate and free speech. Okay, and what was he saying? What was he standing by when he was practicing free speech? What was he debating people about? I saw some moron on another, I think ABC News or something, say that Charlie Kirk never dehumanized his opponents. He would have respectful discourse with them. Charlie Kirk's entire ideology was dehumanization. Just because he would talk to people he disagreed with doesn't mean that he wasn't standing for an ideology that directly put them in harm's way. And also his entire debate me thing is just so he could get memeable viral clips. He wasn't doing that in good faith. He just wanted to own the libs. He this idea that he was some guy who wanted to just get everyone to have healthy debate. He fully supports authoritarianism. He fully supports the subjugation of marginalized people across the fucking spectrum. He wants to live in a religious, nationalist country where women are subjugated to their husbands, gay people can get stoned, black people are viewed as crime-committing monsters, where immigrants aren't allowed to enter the country, and if they do, I guess you can just throw them in concentration camps. The list goes on. If you weren't what he considered to be the ideal American citizen, then you weren't entitled to equal rights or respect. In the current society we live in, yes, he had to tolerate those people, but was his ideology moving towards a world in which those people were cracked down on? Absolutely. He was straight up mocking the deaths of black people at the hands of the police, straight up memeing George Floyd's death. He was besties with Kyle Rittenhouse, who literally murdered a BLM protester. It's so disingenuous. He himself even said that empathy is a made-up concept that shouldn't be used in politics because it leads to bad outcomes. Charlie himself even said, like, empathy is a made-up concept and it gets us into a lot of tricky situations in politics. So maybe he would have wanted people to interact with his legacy in a critical fashion rather than bowing down to the great almighty free speech warrior Charlie Kirk. No. And by the way, I don't know why we're acting like he was some unifying figure who brought the country together in tough times and led us through difficult waters. Like, he's just a right-wing conservative podcaster, content creator, organizer. I don't know why he's getting moments of silence at sports games, and they want to have him lie in state at the Capitol, and he was flown on a military plane in his casket. Like, it doesn't bode well for where we are as a society that we are all just deciding we have to laud this man instead of injecting some nuance into this conversation. And what does that signal to all the people who were in his crossfires when he was alive?
Five NFL teams refused to give any honor to Charlie Kirk. But if Charlie Kirk was Charlie Quan JV Vontae being killed by a white cracker, we would have had the biggest race war. His names would have been plastered all over. You wouldn't have any problems buying a hat saying, "I am Charlie Quavius." This is Jesus versus Satan. That's all this is. It's spiritual warfare. Jesus versus Satan. There's power in the name of Jesus, and the world doesn't want to accept it. Keep praying, guys. Keep praying.
Now, the New York Post is reporting that all of 4 teams last night who played in NFL Sunday did not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. Now, the New York Post did update the story, and it was actually 5 teams who did not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, 4 of those 5 teams actually winning their games. Now, the article also points out that 8 teams did pay tribute to Charlie Kirk last night, and if you were wondering if they won, out of those 8 teams who did pay tribute, 6 of them lost. I'm literally not kidding you. It keeps going. Yes. Thank God. Now, I'm no sports expert and I'm no betting expert, but I'd say that in the next round of games that are coming this Thursday and Sunday, because I think Thursday night football and Sunday night football is a thing, I'd probably place my bets on the team that doesn't pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. And now remember, the New York Yankees, which I believe was the only MLB team that paid tribute to him, lost their game against the Tigers. And everybody knows that in baseball, which is the most superstitious sport, a lot of teams probably backed out of putting out a tribute to Charlie Kirk because of that. Now, I do believe the only other MLB team who played tribute to Charlie Kirk was the Cubs, but they did win. But again, being the most superstitious league, that's not a gamble that I think most MLB teams are going to make. Now, as for the NFL, maybe you should hold your tributes till after the off season.
So let's talk about what just went down in the NFL. 5 teams, the Lions, Colts, Bengals, Ravens, and Vikings, made the decision not to hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And honestly, that move says a lot. Because here's the contradiction. This same league once told us football had no place for politics. They told us to keep politics out of the game when Colin Kaepernick took a knee to highlight injustice. They said it disrespected the flag, disrespected the military, and yet here they are making space for silence, grief, and recognition when it comes to someone like Charlie Kirk. Now, let's not forget what Charlie Kirk said about black athletes. He openly questioned their presence in the NFL and NBA, but conveniently skipped over the fact that ownership in the league is overwhelmingly white. He called out the players, but never the power structure. So when black players speak up about their reality, they get silenced, fined, and blackballed. But when it comes to Charlie Kirk, suddenly the field is supposed to turn into a place of honor and remembrance. That's what you call conservative contradictions. One standard for us, another for them.
Did you all see 5 teams choose not to honor Charlie Kirk at their NFL games? 5 teams. So here are the 5 teams that choose not to honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence. Detroit Lions, Indianapolis Colts, Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, Minnesota Vikings. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody have the freedom to do what they want to do. Mr. Kirk had the freedom to speak and say what he wants to say, so I guess everybody have their own opinions. So this was the choice from these teams, and we have to respect their choice. Everybody should not be forced to honor Charlie Kirk. It should be a choice. Yeah, so comment your thoughts and let me know what you think if these 5 teams should honor Charlie Kirk.
So over half the teams in the NFL held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. But isn't this the same NFL? Aren't these the same maggots? Isn't this the same Donald Trump who said there's no place for politics in sports? Basically just shut up and dribble. We don't want to hear about your politics. We came to watch the game. These are the same people that went so hard and got people like Colin Kaepernick kicked out of the NFL. The man couldn't get a job. He played in the Super Bowl and couldn't get a job after he took a knee for police brutality because he was dishonoring the flag. There's no place for politics in the NFL. But these NFL teams are going to hold a moment of silence. They did hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. He wasn't even a politician. He wasn't elected. He wasn't a congressman. He wasn't anything. He held no political position. He was just a talking head who went around to college campuses. I don't understand this double standard that Trump and his maggot faithful have. They cannot wrap their heads around the fact that they kicked a man out for kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality. They got him kicked out of the league and probably others. They sure as hell probably gave him death threats. The National Football League, half the teams are recognizing this man with a moment of silence. Make it make sense.
Cowboys, the New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, the Tennessee Titans, New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Arizona Cardinals. These are some of the teams that wasted everybody's time before their game to have a moment of silence for 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was recently assassinated while giving a speech at a school in Utah. Now, Charlie Kirk is being called a lot of things, but the one thing that makes me giggle the hardest is a megastar, MAGA influencer. And why he's getting moments of silence and things like that for NFL football games is still befoggling my mind. He was a huge football fan, but they're saying that he was a big fan of college football, with his favorite team supposed to be the Oregon Ducks. Different companies have reached out to these teams asking why they felt he was important enough to receive moments of silence. Now, Indianapolis responded saying that they had their moment of silence for Forrest Lucas, who was the founder of Lucas Oil, which is where they got the name of their stadium from. Now I'm just going to read the rest. It says the Lions, Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, that they didn't answer right away. They made their decision, excuse me, after the Ravens had a moment of silence when George Floyd, who I can see having a moment of silence, when he was by a Minnesota police officer named Derek Chauvin, Chauvin. I still don't know how to say his name. And this was back in 2020. Players from both teams took a knee during the national anthem. In protest to the kickoff, like before the kickoff. Before the kickoff between Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders on Thursday night. Then it says the Packers also observed a moment of silence for the controversial political figure Ute, Y-U-T-E. And then it says the NFL announced that it would let the teams decide if they wanted to pay a tribute to Charlie Kirk or not. It'll let them make their own decision. Now the Cowboys, Jets, and the Titans all broadcasted a picture of Kirk on their Jumbotron during the moment of silence. Now the Saints held a moment of silence before the national anthem in New Orleans. Then it says the Dolphins also held a moment of silence for Kirk along with the 9/11. Let me try this again. The Dolphins also held a moment of silence for Kirk along with the 9/11 victims and any other victims of violence, which is nice. Halfway nice. It says the Steelers. The Steelers had the flag raised at half staff for their game against Seattle Seahawks. Now on Friday, the NFL released a statement saying that they will leave the tribute choice if they want to celebrate or have a moment of silence up to each team. They're not going to mandate it like they did recently. So, we'll see what happens on Sunday's games and this weekend. What do y'all think about it? I know you're probably tired of hearing about Charlie Kirk. I know I'm sick of hearing about Charlie Kirk. And I don't know why I want to call him Charlie Puth, P-U-T-H. But I feel like he's getting way more recognition than he needs. But I'm probably going to post some more videos about it.
This is all I got from this video. And frankly speaking, if I were also in sports, I would not have honored him being a black person or being anybody too. I would not have done shit. Because if he were there or something, he would say that I do not qualify to be in that sport. Because people that look like me are not qualified when it comes to anything. So Michelle Obama does not have the intellectual capacity to do some certain things. And Joy Reid does not have the intellectual capacity to do some things that they are DEI. And that is actually someone that did not go to university, has the audacity to question their intelligence, their capability, their smartness. If I were them, I wouldn't have done anything to. I wouldn't honor him because he never for a day honored us, black people. Why do I have to honor someone who has never for a day said anything? See, can people be kind? Sorry, can people be truthful? He has never for a day honored people that look like me. Why do I have to join on the bicycle to honor him? See, can people normalize giving people back what they give people, whether alive or death? Forget about when people die. There are so many sympathy and empathy. Forget about it. Can people be real? You can't treat me badly, and when you are no more, I am screaming and shouting that you are. Why am I screaming? Why should I even be sad at all? Because you didn't see me as human being, and you want me to see you as what at this point in time? But they were the ones that said that politics has no place in sport. How come now politics has a place in sports? They always look for a way to flip things the other side. If it is racism, they will tell you it's reverse, because you all know there is nothing like that. They just keep flipping things. You know, at some point, that man had an opinion to continue to hurt people. Like that, this man said, can we normalize what happened to him? May be sad, but he was not a great person. Say it the way it is. Enough of your bullshit that I am seeing online. He is the MLK, of which MLK, shut up. He's the MLK of our time. Do you know MK? What do you know about MLK that you are comparing him to MLK? What book has he written? What has he talked about? Where has he spoken? University college that he's going to use kids to shine on topics that they do not even know a lot. Normalize bullying people too when there is need for it. I don't mean going around to, like, when people do you something, you have to give it back to them. I don't mean looking for someone that didn't do you anything. Normalize holding grudges. It's okay to hold grudges. We are in parties. I ain't nothing going to happen about that. So enough of all this brouhaha. He died for you. Whose sin did he die for? It better be your stupid sin, not my sin. Like the guts and the audacity that makes these people sit down and talk nonsense, because at this point in time, it is nonsense. You ain't making any sense. You need to make sense. What do you mean? He died for whose sin? Whose Bible are you turning around now? Bye for now.